29% of app users say they use 6 or more apps a day.
I think we saw people that had incorporated apps kind of more fundamentally than we thought they would have. People that were using apps to read along in church. You know, people that were using apps to figure out, to keep track of their scientific labs and experiments that they were running. People that were using apps to keep track of patients.
Even the tough financial markets of 2008-2009 don't seem to affect app sales.
We asked people a few questions about what they were spending on apps. And what we learned was that people that were more entertainment-oriented told us that they spent about $7 in the last month on apps, compared to other users who were maybe more in the $4 to $5 range. Cool.
That money may seem like peanuts, but it adds up.
But what you have to think about is those numbers over a period of a year equal about $60 to $65 per user. Our research tells us that about 75% of people, 3/4 of people that own app phones have purchased apps.
In the beginning, when I first started using apps, it's like a new toy. It's like, you know, opening presents on Christmas, you know? And before you know it, you've racked up, you know, I probably spent easily $100 before I knew it.
Apps generally cost between 99 cents and $4.99. Although there's an expensive one, Aira Pro, a surveillance app that costs $900 and allows users to monitor their home and business when they're away. The cheaper 99-cent priced apps are the most popular, and there are a fair share of apps that are free.
I made a conscious decision to only acquire the free apps. Despite my pledge, you know, if one really was calling to me, I would pay the money and get it.
The highest selling group of apps continues to be games.
I think it's about 80% of users that we profiled are using games on their phones.
Entertainment is another popular app category. Koi Pond, an app with a Zen quality, is one of the early popular entertainment apps. It costs 99 cents. By December 2008, it has been downloaded about 600,000 times.
We're just making real guesses at the numbers at this point, but it's somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million downloads that we've had over the lifespan of Koi Pond.
Apple takes 30% of sales, with 70% going to the developer.
We feel so fortunate that we were able to get in early on. We established ourselves. Nowadays, it's harder to break in with, you know, with how many applications there are in the store. It's just, the competition is so fierce.
So how do app developers set themselves apart? A company in Southern California called Metal Mobile starts a business to help developers get an edge in the app world. The Application Incubation Company is made up of marketing consultants, designers, and developers. They work with all kinds of people trying to break into the app game and make some money.
To form a business, you have to be more than just someone who's coming up with 1 or 2 apps. And really for us, it's about working with clients. It's really about strategy and about long-term thinking. We look at every single app as a brand, as a business. Come on back, I'll show you, introduce you around to some people.
While they develop some apps in-house, the majority come from outside developers. In fact, they find a clever way to take advantage of every one of us out there who says, I've got a great idea for an app.
This is Warren over here. So we built this thing called the Application Incubator, and we put it out there, and we said, you know, if you have an idea, submit it to us. If we love the idea, we'll build it and we'll share the profits back with you. What was up with that?
17-year-old Alan Wright's idea catches Swartz's attention.
I came across this one that was just a single sentence. And it stood out because it was just a single sentence in the sea of all these really complex descriptions. And it just said, I think there should be an app for those times that you don't have anyone to talk to, so you can write a note to God. Note to God.
The Note to God app lets people anonymously share their message to God with others. The app costs 99 cents, and though it isn't an immediate hit, it's gaining momentum. They also work with professional app developers who are having a hard time getting their apps noticed.
They've launched it on the App Store and they got 6 downloads. And they built a really nice piece of software, but they just don't know how to market it and they don't know how to break through.
Right now, Metal Mobile has 20 apps in the App Store, including the Tree ID app that identifies any tree anywhere in the country. The Feather Report, an app that advises how to fashionably dress for weather.
So you can use your current location or you can enter city and state. Let's just use
Their goal is to launch 1,000 apps over the next 2 years.
We would love to get to a point where we have Metal Mobile Tuesdays, and every Tuesday we're dropping a new set of apps and people are rushing to the store to find out what they are.
Given the way the app market is booming, that might happen sooner than they expect. Coming up, Apple, the darling of the app world, isn't necessarily everybody's favorite. And later, are apps just a fad, or are they here to stay? For more information, go to planetoftheapps.cnbc.com. In urban areas like New York, San Francisco, and here in Los Angeles, where so many users want to do so many things with their applications, the iPhone's popularity can cause frustration.
You know, I love the iPhone. I do. It's absolutely changed my DNA, and I love the apps. But really, I can't wait until this exclusive contract with AT&T expires.
While Apple may have the edge in the App Store game, some think their contract with AT&T has hurt their business. An article in the New York Times notes that 1/3 of the people who would consider buying iPhones say they won't, blaming AT&T's service.
In all the hype around mobile apps, people forget that carriers are still a very important part of the ecosystem.
AT&T says the problem is data overload and claims it's working to upgrade its system. But the time of the Apple AT&T monopoly may be coming to an end as competitors unlock the secret to the world of apps. The biggest threat appears to be the Verizon-Google partnership. Verizon has the largest cell phone network in the U.S.
I think the increased competition between Apple and Google is something everyone thought would eventually hit once Google released their mobile operating system, Android. It's really, starting to take off a little bit more now. There seems to be a little bit more competition between them.
One of the key complaints the competition has already addressed is the approval process. Before an app can enter its store, Apple has to approve it. Google, on the other hand, has a less restrictive policy.
Yeah, a lot of publishers, developers, they complain that Apple is too controlling and that they should be able to put any applications in the App Store. The way to think about that is, it's Apple's store. They sell what they want to.
We don't like to have a single entity controlling things. I think they're going to be burned sooner or later when it hits the news that they turned down an app or they, for whatever reason, I'm sure those things will blow up.
It's too early to tell if any of the competitors can knock Apple off its throne. But the competition has certainly opened up a whole new marketplace for app developers who want to make a business out of their ideas.
The key thing to focus on is, am I building a business or is this a project? And in many cases, people are really creating a project where they might be able to get an app out to the market, get some initial revenue, which could be very good for a small young team, but ultimately the ability for that product to scale into a standalone business might be limited.
Dave Lieb and his partners are focused on creating a sustainable business when they come up with their app, Bump. They've been selling it through the Apple Store for more than 8 months now, and it's still one of the hottest apps. It lets iPhone users exchange contact information and photos with one another just by bumping their phones together.
So here's the typical user experience. You both launch the Bump app, select what information you want to share, and then literally just bump your phones together. Within a second, we match you to the other person, and if you accept the transfer, you get their contact information, they get yours.
Bump is a success. It's easy to use and it fulfills a need. But it also gets a break early on.
We happen to be the billionth app downloaded on the App Store, so we got a lot of publicity from that, and that kind of put us on the map, I think.
More luck follows. The app is in an Apple commercial. After only 6 months on the market, users download it more than 3.5 million times. So Dave Lieb and his partners are millionaires, right? Wrong. The app is free. Might seem like a bad business plan, but it's not. The Bump app is a network app like Facebook or Twitter. People love to connect through technology. The more popular Bump gets, the better for its creators. The real moneymaker for this startup is the technology behind the app.
We can put Bump in basically any device that has a way to detect a bump event, whether that's a button press, a touch screen, an accelerometer like we use in the mobile phones. So If we're able to be successful and get Bump onto everyone's mobile phones, that unlocks a whole other world of letting people not just interact with other mobile phones, but interact with things in the real world, like a vending machine or a point-of-sale terminal at a checkout aisle.
The Bump technology sets this team apart from other